£342.50, but you get a lifetime warranty with the pads.
Don't bother taking your car to a garage. You can change your brake pads in less than 15 minutes. This is my 2010 Mazda MX-5 that I rebuilt, and today we are going to be changing the front brake pad. And you know what? I'm going to be timing myself to show you how quick and easy it really is. My profession isn't a mechanic, by the way. I've learned a lot of this stuff by just doing things myself, researching about it and asking people for advice. Let's get to it. Let's start the clock. First things first is to chock the car to stop it from moving forwards and backwards. Next is to grab your locking wheel nut sockets and the breaker bar, then loosen your wheel nuts ever so slightly. Then grab your car jack and begin to lift your car up. A 2-ton trolley jack can be purchased at your local hardware store for as cheap as £30. Let's just stop the clock for a minute. The car has now been lifted, but make sure that when you're jacking the car up, you're doing it safely. I've got the jack on the jacking point, obviously, and I've also just supported it with a jack stand as well, in case the jack fails. You don't want to get caught underneath the car when the jack fails. And let's start the clock again. Now we can fully remove all of the wheel nuts, followed by removing the wheel. Take care when doing this, as the wheel can be a bit heavy. Let's just stop the clock again for a second. The wheel is now off. This is your brake disc. This is your brake caliper. This is a brake caliper mount that holds the caliper. And in here is your brake pad. When you press your brake, the caliper actually squeezes the pad onto the brake disc and thus stopping the car. So we need to remove the brake caliper to be able to have access to the brake pads. The caliper is usually held by 2 bolts. There's one here at the top and then the other one here at the bottom. I used a 14mm socket to loosen the 2 caliper bolts. Once removed, the caliper can then be moved out the way. I hung it using a plastic twine so it does not hang by the brake line. Here is then your brake pads, one there and another one there. So you've got 2, one on this side and another one on this side. That's your brake pads. So my brake pads aren't actually too bad, so we're not going to be changing that today. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. The cheapest I could find online is £21 for a front brake pad set, so that's passenger side and driver side. So that would make it £10.50 for each side of the front brake pad. But I do wonder how much it would cost for a well-known garage to change the brake pads. Let's go and give them a call.
Hello, darling. You're through to Camilla. What's your name?
Good afternoon. How can I help?
Hi there, good afternoon. I just wanted to get a quote on how much it would be to get my front brake pads changed on my Mazda MX-5, please.
What's the vehicle reg? What's your postcode, buddy? Have you used us before? And your surname? Have you got a contact telephone number I can call you back on? Give me about 5-10 minutes, mate, and I'll get back to you.
Cheers, thank you. While we're waiting for a call back then, when you put your new brake pads, make sure that you clean all of the brake shims. I'm just using a wire brush, by the way. Give it a nice clean, remove all of the brake dust. Also, when you're putting your new brake pads, just make sure that they slide in nice and easy. There shouldn't be any difficulty when you're putting on your new brake pads. That's it, it should be able to slide in and out nice and easy. Obviously, make sure that you have bought the correct brake pad, but if the brake pad is having a lot of difficulty moving in and out, you can use one of these, a metal file, just to grind down the edges so that the brake pad can slide in nice and easy. When you put your new brake pad as well, make sure all of your contact points are also greased up to prevent the brake pads from seizing. I am going to be using a copper grease to grease up the contact areas like the shims. Make sure you put some lubricant on the shoulders of the brake pads as well. Just a bit on the shoulder, just a tiny smidge. I then did the exact same thing on the opposite side. Grease the shims, grease the pads and slide in. And then also make sure that the contact points are greased, like here. That is where the caliper is gonna grip on. So by greasing it up, it just stops the caliper from sticking. Hello?
So I've got a price together for you.
Yeah.
If it's just the front pads that you're looking at, it's 132.50.
130.
But obviously, yeah, 132.50.
Yeah.
But obviously, we would have to measure the disc to make sure that they're suitable for the pads to go on.
Right. Okay.
So if it requires the discs as well,
yeah.
You look at 342.50, but you get a lifetime warranty with the pads and a year's warranty with the discs as well.
All right. Thanks. I'll give you a call back.
Yeah. All right. Mate.
Thank you very much. 100 for the brake pads, and he also mentioned we might need to measure your brake discs as well. With the brake discs, it's 300. That's insane. I then used a caliper rewind tool to wind the calipers back so that we can easily replace the caliper. Once done, it can just be put back into place, line the hose up and put the bolts back on. Nice and tight. Now the wheel can go back on. Line up the holes and put in the wheel nuts. Tighten in a star pattern to ensure the wheel is bolted straight, and tighten as much as you can. And now the car can be dropped back on the ground. The last thing that needs to be done is to torque your bolts up. And that is it. Stop the clock. That is the brake pad change done in 14 minutes and 9 seconds. It is honestly that easy. And for £10 a corner, that's definitely a no-brainer. I hope this little experiment has shown you that it is possible to do it at home for the fraction of the price. Have a go at doing it yourself. It will save you a lot of money, but just make sure that you are doing it safely. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It will mean a lot to the channel. Drop a like, drop a comment, and I will see you on the next one.